And we are live. Hi, friends. I hope everybody is having an incredible day. Here in Philadelphia, we are having a pretty awesome week because our team just won the Super Bowl. So we are really proud of the Birds, and we are so pumped about everything that's going on. And I am so excited to have this conversation today for empathy in automation, where we are going to talk about empathy and AI and the future of work. If this is your first time here, I'm Sharon Steed. I am a keynote speaker and empathy consultant and a person who stutters. And I wanted to have, these kinds of conversations because I think a lot of people are just really intimidated by the prospect of how just advanced all of these technologies are becoming. And I want to, just one, be able to learn about how, we can use these technologies to our advantage, and to also become just better people in that process. And so today I get to speak to a fellow LinkedIn learning author and sales trainer and career development coach, Dean Karrel. So, hi, Dean. How are you? I'm so happy that you're here.
Sharon, it's great to be here. And as we mentioned before we went on live, is that I feel like I've known you forever.
I know. I feel like I've known you for a very long time. And we finally get to talk. This is so fun.
We finally get to talk and be in person. I think we recorded a course around the same time a number of years ago when you first released Communicating with Empathy, which is a big seller. I mean, it's 600, 700,000 global.
I know.
Course,
I can't believe it.
No,
I can't believe it.
It is exciting. So I watched that course, took that course years ago when it first came out, and it's still one of the most popular courses in the LinkedIn Learning Library. So congratulations, and it's great to be with you in person today.
Yeah. Thank you. I am so excited to talk to you today. I do not know a ton about sales. I'm not comfortable in sales, and so talking to you like this sales expert is going to be so incredibly beneficial. So first, I would just like to hear a little bit of background about you and how you got to where you are today.
Well, it's sort of interesting is that we talk about sports, you talk about your Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm a Giants fan. So, I mean, we're not, we're good friends, but not on the football side of things.
Absolutely not.
For sure. But I went to college. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster of all things. And then I realized that every 21-year-old male and female wants to get into sports broadcasting. And I was one of hundreds of thousands. And then I realized I needed to make a living. And I got a job in the publishing industry, and I worked with a publishing company in upstate New York. I had a sales territory, learned the basics of selling textbooks. This is when people use print textbooks. And I worked with the #1 publisher at the time and spent years in that. And then I got into general interest publishing, worked with Simon & Schuster. And then I spent 20 years with a company based out of New York City, then Hoboken, New Jersey, called John Wiley & Sons. Wiley's a publisher that's been around since 1807. What a magnificent company, has been growing and expanding through the years. And I got to be the sales director there. Worked in the heyday of publishing when there was Borders bookstores and Barnes and Noble bookstores everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of independence. Amazon had come into its growth years, and I had a great job. Then the industry changed, like every industry changes, the music industry, publishing industry, everything goes through change. And I left that in 2015, went back to school, took courses at NYU in training and coaching, And so for the past 10 years, it's now officially 10 years that I've been out of the corporate world. I do sales training. I do presentations based off of my book, Mastering the Basics. And I have 14 courses with LinkedIn Learning. So a diverse portfolio in this stage of my career. So I have a lot of fun, and I get to meet people like you along the way, which makes it even better.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? A lot of the people like that I've talked to, like in these shows, we all like have a similar path, in that we didn't set out to be doing the kind of consulting work like that we're currently doing. I know that in my beginning of my career, I was actually a writer. So I was doing a lot of like content creation in terms of like social media. So this was back in like 2008, right? And so brands like were like, well, we have Facebook now, and I guess we should, be on there. So like, how do we talk to people on there, right? And so I was doing those kinds of things, right? Like I was doing Facebook, I was doing blog posts. Back then, there was a lot of trade publications, and so a part of the reason why I became a writer was because like I was so intimidated by talking, right? And so like I thought, if I can be a writer, then I don't have to talk, and then I can be, successful. And that's like not exactly how that works. However, I did sort of become very fascinated with, how we sort of communicate with people, right? And so I would be in these sort of client meetings, and I felt like the salespeople were always just so confident, right? And so self-assured, and and even if they were coming off as very salesy, like it wasn't intimidating, and it wasn't um annoying. And so I was always just really like impressed with how easily they were able to communicate, and like how quickly they were able to really connect with people. And so like now in the work that I'm currently doing, I know that connection is there in part because of their ability to be empathetic. And so, how do you think empathy impacts the sales process, and why is it so important in that process?
Well, you covered a couple of things there, Shannon. The backup first is that I too was intimidated by salespeople when I first started. They all seemed so smooth. They had the pitch down right, and the whole attitude. So I was intimidated by those who had the fancy titles, or they had the fancy degrees from some hotshot university, and I tried to act that way too initially. And then I realized I just needed to be myself, and that's a real light bulb going off to saying, we are who we are. So how do you enhance the skills that we were given to be successful no matter what type of career we have? Now, you described two types of salespeople. Most people, unfortunately, the perception of salespeople is that there is a percentage who are salesy, or they're overly aggressive, or they're trying, or manipulative. It's that whole thing I talk about. We all watched that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, which is great entertainment. but it makes me cringe every time I see it, because that's not what sales is all about. Or Alec Baldwin in Glengarry Glen Ross, here he goes, always be closing, or the leads aren't weak, you're weak. That they makes for great entertainment. And unfortunately, there are sales organizations like that.
Yeah.
But if you want to be successful, especially in this day and age, you have to have a whole different style and approach. I have a list of qualities I talk about that make for the best salespeople, and the number one quality is emotional intelligence. So there's an overlap to some degree with what you do, with what I talk about as one of the most important skills. Emotional intelligence, being aware, understanding, showing empathy and care for the buyers that we work with. So I think there's a real tie-in with empathy and just showing care and listening. These are the checklist of what makes a good salesperson, linking with emotional intelligence. Listening, empathy, care, understanding, and being aware. Bingo.
Yeah. So then, okay. So then, how do you walk into like a potential like sales situation with a client and form a connection very quickly in order for them to be comfortable enough to, you know, purchase your product or service?
That's an excellent question, because it's the fault that every new salesperson, you think you have to say hello and immediately start selling. We see
Mm-hmm.
this all the time on LinkedIn, where you connect with somebody, then 15 minutes later, you're getting a pitch about something,
Yeah.
selling some
The worst.
whatever. And it's like, you don't do that. It's so
Mhm.
important. I think you use the word engage. How you engage with somebody first, understand what their work is, what they're involved with. It's just like today, you and I just didn't start talking about sales. We talked about your Eagles and my Giants. You engage. You begin to establish a relationship, and it's called part of the process of building trust. You learn, you listen, and you don't sell. Everybody thinks sales is 100% selling all the time. The best salespeople never sell. They ask good questions, they listen, they reconfirm. It's part of the sales process. And of the early stages are mostly listening and asking more questions and clarifying. What do you really need? What are you working on? What are the things that you're facing in your industry, Sharon, that I can help you with? And
Mhm.
then you have begin that relationship of asking more questions and finding ways to find if there's an opportunity to actually sell something. And in many cases, there is not an opportunity. And that, again, is part of that process of building trust, of saying, you know what, when we do have the right thing where we can work together, I'm going to be here for you. That's hard for a salesman to say, but it's so true.
Right. So then, okay. So then, how can sales people balance that like empathy with the sort of requirement of closing potential deals?
Right. So I always talk about there are 8 steps to a sales process. It's prospecting and qualifying that prospect, learning more about them. There's a phase of the sales process called sales discovery, where, again, you're going back to asking a lot of questions. What is the problem we're trying to solve? Or what is the product we're looking for? Um, have you ever purchased anything and not had questions, whether it's for everything from a car to a television or to a software product or whatever? Every buyer has questions. And as a salesperson, you have to expect those, and you want to draw that out. We talk a lot about objections in sales. Well, I don't have the money for it. I don't have the budget for it. I don't have the time for it. Every sales situation encounters that. That's always going to be there. So you have to anticipate those questions. And as you work your way along the sales process of working with a customer, the point of when it's time to close is really becomes down to, have we checked off all the boxes, and are you ready to buy? Rather than saying you need to buy now or else the deal goes away. That's what you would see in the movies, and
Mhm.
that's when you see in the old days of going to buy a car or going to a furniture store where somebody's like aggressively trying to get you to buy something. But 90% of the time with sales, it's the close actually is a normal flow of the process, but it's the part, that word close is the part that every new salesperson is concerned about, because that's where revenue is driven, and that's where our compensation is driven. But if you've handled all of the steps beforehand properly, the close of knowing when to, it really should be called knowing when to ask for the business. Sharon, I've answered all your questions. I've tried to solve some of the objections that you've had. This is the price you wanted. This is the time frame you wanted. Are we ready to move forward? Yeah, so you're leading them to a point of,
Yeah.
we've got it all covered. Let's do it. Rather than saying, Sharon, you need to buy, which is the way we all think of a salesperson, right? And it's more of a case of how do you help lead them along to guide them to that decision of saying yes.
So I actually recently got a car, right? And so we were supposed to get a car over the summer, like, but just my experience like at this car dealership was so annoying and so tedious, like that I was like, I don't want to do this right now, right? Okay, and so like here's what happened, right? So we were like, okay, like we are, like interested in like this one specific car. And so we go in there, we like test drive it, and then they like tell us like the prices, and like we are not like car people, and so I was like, I'm not paying that much money for a car ever in my life, right? And so I was just like, yeah, no, like that's fine. And then the guy, he like says, well, we have other cars like that are smaller and that like aren't as expensive. And then he tries to show us this like other car like that we said very clearly, like no, like we want this one car in particular. I hate going car shopping, and so I'm already annoyed, right? I'm already annoyed that I'm at this car dealership. I'm already annoyed that I'm dealing with these car salesmen who have just like the most horrible reputation. And like he was doing all of the like the horrible car salesman things that one can do. And so he was trying to be like, okay, well, like how can I close this sale? How about this other car? And he shows us the other car and we're like, no, like we don't want this. Right. And so we go home, we don't get the car. And then a couple of weeks ago, we go back and we had a different guy. He was great. Right. Like he really like we are very intentional people, like of like, here's the car that I want, here's how much I want to pay for it, how do we create like the deal that is going to like fall into those parameters. And so like that like got me thinking about like there are times like when I think like in this sales process, like people being like very aggressive can actually be like them trying to have too much empathy, right? Like oh well, like you only want to pay this, well here's another option. I know that you don't want this option, but like here's the thing that you said that you wanted. It's just not exactly the thing that you said that you wanted, right? So like, are there times when, having too much empathy can be a problem when you are attempting to sell?
Well, I think the overly aggressive, manipulative salesperson like that car salesman, I don't think he was doing empathy. I just think he was showing empathy. I just think he was overly aggressive and manipulative. I used to dislike going to car dealers also. And you just made a very good example, though, of why the successful salesperson is the one who listened. They're the one who's showing empathy and the one who helped you make the choice that you wanted to make. The days of in your face selling are over. I mean, this is like this is the 1960s, the 1970s, the 80s. It still happens. And there are overly manipulative salespeople. You just encountered it this past summer when you looked for the car. But look what you said. I didn't buy. If that is not if that's not the light bulb going off to every other salesman,
Mhm.
The overly aggressive sales approach makes people nauseous. And I'm a salesperson. It makes me nauseous too. And but I go, you're going to recommend that good salesperson. I guarantee you'll recommend them to a friend who says, I'm looking for a car. Well, I met this great man or woman at this dealership and they were really helpful. They listened to me. They showed
Yeah.
empathy. The manipulative salesperson is not empathy. They're just looking to make a deal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's overly, empathetic. They don't care at all for you. Their care is self-empathy. They're trying to make the deal for themselves. And so again, the best salespeople now in this day and age um, really step back and do listen better and do show their care for you. And it's also you in this day and age and me, we do our research before we go in. Years ago, we didn't know what a car cost until we went in. You can
Yeah.
go online and see, it's going to cost you $25,000 or $36,000. And, so if they start saying, well, we're going to give you this and that, no, I know beforehand. We're much, as buyers
Hmm.
in every industry, we're much more educated than ever due to what's available online and
Yeah.
through artificial intelligence. What should I be paying for a Nissan Maxima? Boom, and with these things, and it's all there. We're better educated as buyers than ever before.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's like a part of the reason why, like, if I am like going in to buy like a big purchase, like I'm already like in my mind, like I'm already going to purchase the thing. It's just a matter of like, okay, who am I going to buy this from? And how much am I going to pay for it, right? And so like a part of me thinks that like a big part of sales is finding the right customer at the right time when they have already convinced themselves like I'm going to buy this thing and I'm going to buy this today. Have you experienced that?
Yeah, well, it's in your case, it's like, okay, if I'm a salesperson and you walk in and I'm selling cars, that's great. You want to buy a car, but what I want to learn first is, Sharon, are you using this for business? Are you driving to outside of Pennsylvania? You're going into the mountains, you're going to the Poconos, or you're using it for local travel? Do you want to have the convenience of having the service done at our dealership? You're 2 miles away from the dealership, or that doesn't make a difference. I need to ask more questions. What are you using the car for?
Yeah,
Do you want status? Are you buying a BMW, a Mercedes, or do you just want a car that can get you to the train station or get you
right.
downtown? And so there's a whole checklist I need to learn first. And Sharon, this car, the monthly, I don't know if you're paying all cash or you're going to need to finance it. What's the number that can help you make this work? If you're looking to buy a $80,000 Mercedes and spend $300 a month, well, you know what, Sharon, that's not going to work. Let's see if we can find something that's more in your range.
Yeah, that's not going to align with anything.
So there's a whole slew of questions. But in the old days, or that first salesman you saw, he saw you come in, and you're like, gotcha, come here, right? I mean, he was
Yeah.
in your face. I cringe. It ruins I've fought for years the stereotype of that salesperson, the
Hmm.
Wolf of Wall Street. That there was a movie called Boiler Room, where it was the
I love that movie. Yeah.
oh, it's a great movie, but when Ben Affleck, he was great, but I cringe. It's like, wow, that's what we all is. Those are the salespeople we fear, and
Hmm.
I'm not saying we shouldn't be tenacious in any job, to try and make something work, and as a salesperson also, and I'm going to try to make sure you're buying from me versus the other auto dealer. But there's also a point of I'm not going to be trying to manipulate. Sharon, if you don't buy now, this deal is off the table. Yeah, that's I guarantee that salesperson said, well, if you don't buy this now, it's done.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm the one buying, it's my money. So again, it goes back to salespeople today. The sales profession is totally different than what it was when I first got into it. And as we talk about technology and as we talk about the future of sales, we used to be in our own world as salespeople. We didn't work with marketing. We didn't work with the writers like you, 10, 15 years ago when you were writing, doing social media. Marketing was over there. Sales, my job was focused on the customer. Now, in this day and age, we're all involved, all departments within the company, and we're using technology like we never used it before to our advantage.
Yeah. So then, do you think that sales has gotten easier, or more challenging as technology and consumer just intelligence has sort of evolved and exploded, really?
Well, I think I think it's changed, and I think it's gotten
Mhm.
easier because of technology. And I have to reframe that. Now, when I first got into sales, now I'm going to sound like your uncle, your old uncle or something, or your grandfather. He was like, we didn't. I used a typewriter, Sharon. I didn't have a computer. When I thought I was mobile with a big compact computer that weighed 20 pounds. The iPhone didn't come out until 2007.
Yeah.
Real-time analytics was every other week we got data from a mainframe. Now I get it off my telephone. I mean, I can get sales data right here. So this has made us better. The sharing of information is real. Is real time. And so I've embraced technology through the years. And initially I said, I'm being serious. I used to say, why do I need a mobile phone? That's my free time to get away from we used to be glued to a phone that was on our desk and
Hmm.
away from it. I used to run to phone booths. Look that up on the internet. When I got all the salespeople used to run to these booths of phone. It was the funniest thing. We all wore suits and we'd be on the phone like this, getting our voicemail. Thank goodness those days are behind us. And so that was difficult, and it took us longer to learn about customers. I can learn a lot about people and the accounts that I want to meet before I even see them. I can learn about you, your courses, I knew you're the communicating with empathy sold 700 or been viewed by 700,000 students around the world. So when I meet you, we can talk about something. I don't have to say, hey, did you ever do a course with LinkedIn Learning? No, I already know you have. And
Yeah.
how many people have watched? I can learn about your writing background. It's in your profile on LinkedIn. So these are things that years ago we didn't have. Now, what's made it more complicated is that every company he's gotten better too. The salespeople have gotten better. Buyers have gotten smarter. Uh,
Hmm.
know things more than now. Back then it was I had that information. Now everybody's got the information. So it's changed, and I think it's changed for the better. I believe that.
Yeah. So, do you talk about artificial intelligence at all, like in your sales trainings or in your, like just sale? Do you use AI to, improve or enhance your sales situations?
That's an excellent question, because through the years, I've said, why do I need to use, customer relationship management software, a CRM that stores all of the data? Oh, I've got to
Hmm.
learn something new. Now, candidly, I'm at the later stages of my career in sales, and it's like, oh, I got to learn something new. And thank goodness I am learning something new. It's a pain in
Yeah.
the neck. I've learned something new, but you want to know something? It's better. It's helping in the writing of content of the material that goes out. It's reframing things. The research. I talk about research, planning, and preparation is the key to the great salesperson. Artificial intelligence makes it better. It doesn't help me sell. I still think the best salespeople are able to do what we're doing right now. I want to be able to look Sharon in the face and you look me in the face in making a sale or arrangement of working together. And artificial intelligence can't do that. They help the process move smoother and faster. So yes, as a sales trainer and somebody talks about sales, I say you have to embrace artificial intelligence. The dilemma is that what I talked about 6 months ago is now old news. It's going so
Hmm.
fast. Initially it was just basic sales letters or content or information flow, or, we talk about the sales pipeline and how we analyze, the accounts that we have in it. And this is done, split second because of artificial intelligence, and there's a learning curve to that. So I think with every trainer and everybody in every business there's no expert yet. We're on the surfboard, going like this and learning along the way. But yes, it is a part of the sales process now, definitely.
I think a concern that a lot of people have, and justifiably so, is that these like new technologies, like these tools, are going to take away a lot of opportunities for people who are currently in the workforce, or the ones who are um, about to be in the workforce. And so, you know, um, another issue, like I should say, along those lines, is that a lot of people feel that technology, it sort of divides us in a way as well, or like it takes away like that ability to like truly connect with people. I don't 100% agree with that. I feel like technology is an incredible aid in helping us to have a little bit more perspective. Like, but for you, in sales, how do you think that AI tools can help salespeople become a little bit more empathetic rather than less so?
Well, I think we have to make sure that empathy stays there. The best salespeople, as I said from the beginning, do show empathy and show care and show understanding. And I think that always is going to be there, no matter what technology or new innovation comes to be. The relationship that you and I have working together, that connection and showing empathy and listening
Mhm.
to you. And again, going back to looking you in the eyes and saying, how can I help you? AI can't do that. And AI can help streamline the process of getting there. It is going to have an impact. In every position as technology has advanced, jobs have been impacted or people have had to adjust. Look at you go back to the writing world or the days even before your time when people used to do advertising. It was done manually, and they used to call type, the cut and paste, and they would put it on boards. And now is then uh, the technology, the Macintosh computer, the initial ones, were able to create advertising. That way, the whole industry went away of people used to do cut and pasting, for a board to make advertising material that would go into newspapers and magazines. Newspapers and magazines. Talk about an industry that's changed. Where have those? Everybody's adapted or had to change and do something different. So the lesson in life is, it may be, stable now, but there's always going to be a change in our professions. And uh, Sharon, I used to preach that I used to do day trips to Chicago from New York to see somebody in person.
Whew,
And
yeah.
when COVID hit, that those days that ended. But I used to go to California in 36 hours. Oh, I got to see a customer. Amazon
Mhm.
in Seattle. Let's make a trip, and we would 10 of us would go out. You know, those
Yeah.
days are over. Sales meetings. Big contingent would go to Florida or somewhere. Hundreds of people. Sales meetings are done like this now, or in many cases. But I still believe in the face-to-face interaction, empathy, emotional intelligence, and being able to feel what somebody is when they're talking to me and sense what they're saying. And you get that to some degree, like we're doing now. But again, old school, there's nothing better in my mind than being across the table from somebody and then being able to say, "You want to go have lunch?"
Mhm.
And learn about how you moved from where you were and then moving to Pittsburgh, and now you've been in Philadelphia for a year, and how much you love Philadelphia. Just what you talked about before we went live today. And
Yeah.
that's how you learn about somebody, your experiences. How did you get into speaking? Now, I've read that, I've heard about it, but this is how you learn about people and to connect
Mhm.
and help them in the sales process. It's more than just talking about the product or service.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never actually thought about this, but like you talking about how like being in person, like it just like does just have like just a little bit more sincerity in these sorts of conversations. I mean, like because right now, like I'm talking to you, like, but I'm also talking to like this camera that's
Right.
right here. Like I know that like pre-COVID, I spent a ton of time going to conferences, and honestly, like the biggest benefit of speaking at conferences wasn't always just the talk. It was the speaker dinners, it was
Yeah.
the coffee dates, it was those conversations that you are like having with people, like over drinks, right? And so yeah, a lot of just like how I do business has changed because I don't have that same sort of in-person connection. And so like I wonder like if we ever are going to go back to just like a more in-person world, and how things are going to continue to evolve over the next 5 years or 10 years or 20 years as we become just like a lot more inundated with technology, especially AI.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, again, I'm really old school with, the days now of, everybody's hybrid or no one's working Monday in an office or Friday, definitely. I mean, the traffic in the New York area, and I'm sure in Philadelphia also, is on Mondays and Fridays is 20% less. And because people aren't going into offices, so I'm a big, again, it's people have a different thought of this, but I love walking the hallways of the company where I worked at and just talking impromptu conversations and
Yeah,
leading by and managing and working with others through the human connection, just stopping and say, how's the day going? And you can't do that here.
you can't. Yeah. Well, so
And
then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, it's that human interaction. You have to make sure it happens then. And those days, we're not going back. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing day trips to Chicago. But when I do, it's got to make sure there's a real reason behind it. And
Mhm.
not that there wasn't ages ago, but it was a different world, different philosophy. But you have to make sure that um, we used to cringe. I mean, you talk about the meetings after you've done your presentation and you go to that area outside of the conference room, and there's the coffees tables set up, and you have your little name tag that says, "Hi, I'm Sharon," and and everybody cringes and they call it a networking break. Ugh. And you're surrounded by all these people. So the trick is, as you said, how do you find those three people that you have a
Yeah.
real conversation with? And that's where networking, I think, is a new different type of art form now with the technology. How do you make sure that I am connecting with Sharon Steed, a Dean Karrel, and having a
Mhm.
meaningful conversation if I'm not seeing? We each have our ways of doing it, and I'm active on LinkedIn and talking to people, but I miss the coffee break. you know
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. I do too, right? I mean, like I got a little tired of just the travel aspect of it. Like, but the benefit was just so big, like that I was just like, okay, it's a commute. I have to get on a plane. I'm going to be on this plane for 8 hours. It's annoying, but I'm going to go to a place and I'm going to be able to talk to people and connect with people in a way that's just like, I mean, it's so invaluable. And so like, how do you think we can sort of continue to really have that human touch in this time where AI is sort of taking over everything?
AI can't say, Sharon, how was your day? AI can't ask you, how was your day? What are you working on today? What's going on? What are your struggles? And I'd be able to look you in the eye and said, I can reading to you saying, I don't know if she's hiding something and she's having more difficulties than she's saying. AI can't do that. AI can help create some of the answers maybe, or come up with some of the solutions. But the human interaction, again, I said this earlier, I think it always needs to be there. You just have to make sure it happens. And it's being able to assess in your sales, and as a salesperson, we call it the sales pipeline, prospects, leads, opportunities, we're making presentations, but being able to assess which one of those really can be moving forward and making sure I'm taking an extra time to talking with Sharon, to talking with a Bill, we're talking with Dave in person like this, and then when it does make sense, Sharon, I am going to be in Philadelphia. Do you have time for lunch, or do you have time that I can stop by, and we meet at wherever to talk about this issue or this, and then so AI needs to be, artificial intelligence is a tool to help streamline, takes away from, again, the example of the analysis of the sales pipeline. I can feed the data now of what's going on with my businesses, and I can get an analysis done in 15 seconds. This used to take a couple of hours. And AI streams that. So I've freed up now 45 minutes for something else. Maybe it's recontacting Sharon. Say, Sharon, we had a great conversation today. Is there somebody else do you think I could speak to that that I could talk about the basics of sales to? Yeah, Dean, you know what? You might like to speak to Susan or Joe or somebody else I know who's dealing with similar issues that I am. So it's reframing how we're approaching customers, and it's referrals. It's, again, the difference, like that good salesperson you had at the auto dealership. And somebody's going to say to you, I guarantee, well, you see, you got a new car. Where'd you get it from? Oh, I got it from Susie. I got it from Dean, the salesman at Mazda, or whatever you get, wherever you got the car. So it's AI can't change that. That's a personal referral that you're saying Dean is a good salesperson at this dealership. AI is not going to have any impact on that human skill. So
yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So now I want to talk about sort of a, merging, AI and empathy in a more tactical way. So these are going to be some pretty, like intense, tactical, ABC sort of questions. So I'd be really interested to hear just your thoughts on a few of these things. So what are the best ways to use AI-driven insights to create a more personalized and empathetic sales experience?
Well, I think it's each salesperson or each company needs to take out and look at the way things have been done for the past 10 years or the past 5 years and 3 years and say, we need to start over. And I think it's a rebuilding process. Again, this is, AI has been around, how we analyze sales calls. We used to, the original AI tool, that there was a number of them, but one was, analyzing how much time I'm talking on the telephone or versus how much time the buyer they're talking. And that was one of the original analyses done. It's like, and if you have the salesperson talking 60% of the time, that's a problem. It should be the buyer talking 60% of the time. And those were AI analysis that I saw, 3 or 4 years ago. And I was going, wow, they can really analyze what we're doing, what I am asking, and what is triggering the answer, what type of question. And these were eye openers. So it's the insights now is taking that information now to the next stage. And so it's constantly learning and constantly saying, the way we did it and the way we approach customers, how we did it. We used to go out to try to reach 1,000 people, let's say, random dialing, random emails. You wrote some of those emails, maybe, and right now through AI, it's saying we're not going to 1,000. We're going to fine tune it. We're going to go to 50 people. It's creating better focus. So instead of this random 1,000, email blast, there's a customized one for the 50 people. That's a mindset change from certainly 10 years ago, certainly 5 years ago. So the focus is constantly shrinking and shrinking and saying, all right, the learning insight is here. I'm not going to look for 1,000. I'm going to look for who are the 10 to 15 people or the counts that I want to, target. And that's where AI can help with that. And that's happening now. And that is happening now. And showing that, if you've taken that time, that empathy, as you talk about, is that we've gotten ahead of, what is really needed by that customer.
So along those lines, then, like how can companies ensure that these, AI-driven sales strategies align with authentic relationship building? Even though I don't know, I feel like the personalization piece of like, no, like I'm not going to, like email 1,000 people. I'm going to email 50. I feel like that has to help, right? I mean, it has to make clients and potential customers just feel incredibly special, and that like you can actually see them, and it's not just a hi, Aaron, here is a product I think you'll like, and I don't know, interesting.
But we've all gotten the email, or we've all gotten the phone call, we've all gotten the journal. Hi, Sharon, how are you? I'm da 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 da, Dean, and I'm just da 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 da, and I don't know anything
Yeah.
about you, or they mispronounce your name, or they don't know your background.
Hmm.
They don't. Hey, Sharon, you know what? I know you've been doing your public speaking now for a number of years. It's a really interesting story of how you got into this and how you finally said to yourself, "I'm going to take that plunge and make a career out of doing something and doing this and showing that I can overcome an obstacle that I've had. And this is what I've created a business." Hey, Dean has taken the time to learn that, and so that's that's what her AI can help with, that research, the planning and preparation. Rather than saying, "Hi, Shannon, how are you? Tell me about yourself." The "tell me about yourself" question is now long gone. I always remember somebody, my company I worked with, name was Wiley. And they go, "Dean, I hear you work with Willie." And I'm like, whoa, so, okay, well, that salesperson had no chance.
Yeah.
Or, so it's, I'm going back to that phrase, planning and preparation. That's been something for 40 years I've told the salespeople I've worked with, and AI has made that better in planning and preparation to customize the preparation, the planning of working with Sharon or any customer.
Hmm. So, are there any tools that you recommend, like that can enhance the emotional intelligence in sales?
Well, I recommend, again, that's number one on my list of training for people, is learning about and reading about emotional intelligence. Take the training. I recommend your course. There's a course on LinkedIn Learning. Your course, Communicating with Empathy, is one.
Thank
There's a
you.
course called from Gemma Lee Roberts on emotional intelligence.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
hers is good. Yeah,
Very good.
she's
And
great.
there's a it's just, again, anything I recommend today is also going to change in 6 months. But your course has stood the test of time, as is, the basics of emotional intelligence by Gemma Lee Roberts. And on my list of top 20 things, it's always be learning. I look back at the way I sold, when I first started to now, it's like, talk about the Stone Age. And wow. And even how I sold 4 years ago. So to March of 2020, the world changed in sales, when everybody
Mhm.
shut down and, we went remote. So for what I recommend is for people is what you're learning today, you got to recognize you're going to be changing in 6 months, a year, and 2 years. And always be learning is more than just a catchphrase, whether it's learning about empathy or we're learning about emotional intelligence. Um, the other thing is, you can have all the technology in the world, but being authentic, which is a word sometimes people don't like. Oh, you need to be authentic. Just be yourself. Be genuine. Be
Yeah.
caring. and it goes a long way. And that they don't teach. You learn that through experience. So my top 10 list of authenticity, being genuine, establishing credibility, building a solid reputation, character. That AI doesn't teach character. Character is how you act when no one's looking, right? How do you act when somebody needs assistance at an airport and you're there and they've dropped something? Are you helping or are you not? Are you walking beside them? How do you act when no one is watching? Character. AI can't teach that. Credibility, reputation, integrity, and character. Those are the foundations of being a good person. It's a foundation of being a good salesperson. And AI, all your other technology, your computers, your phone, all can help, along the way, but it can't replace character.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just something so refreshing about being around a person who is just so sincere, right? It's like there's no yes work. Like there's no uh there's just like a transparency there, like, right? And sincerity to me and character it really go hand in hand in just building very solid relationships with people quickly. I feel like it's a lot easier to be vulnerable, and like if there's vulnerability there, like then there's also trust, and I think that those things are going to be very helpful in like the sales industry, even like in this like new age of overwhelming technology and AI. So that's really cool.
It's being yourself, and it's you can't fake it, because people can read right through that, and people also don't like people who fake it and they think they know it all or whatever. And so
Yeah.
I learned that early on. What you see with me is what you get. And I know I'm not going to be selling to the CEOs. That's not me. I mean, I'm not that style. And there's a different approach for that. So, and I'm great with a certain demographic. So to be somebody who's 25 to 45 or 25 to 55, that's me. That's where I work, and that's middle management, and being sincere. And you said just being genuine. I'd say it's. So when you say what can I learn, learn about how do you enhance your basic skills, the skills that we were all given, and then we all have flaws, and how do you work around it? You have some, I have some. How do we overcome these things, and share that, and share our experiences with those we're working with, or whether we're selling or presenting to.
Yeah. Yeah, a thing that really helped me like was just reframing like this whole idea of like like I have flaws, or like I have weaknesses, right? Like now I view those as opportunities to like better connect with people. A lot of the things that like I have to do as a speaker, as as a speaker and a consultant, is to connect with people incredibly quickly, and to describe your work, and see if there's any way that you can sort of work together. And just for me, especially with stuttering, like that has been like the easiest and quickest way to really disarm people and make them feel a lot more comfortable, and just doing business with me. And I wasn't expecting that when I first got into like being a speaker and a consultant.
Well, you have a great way of making people feel at ease. I mean, you have a very easy style and you're very approachable and you can see, even though we're not face to face, I mean, your eye contact is there. You show sincerity, you show care, and that comes across. And you can't teach that. That's who you are. So how do you build on that and continue to share
Mhm.
that? And, you've built the skills and enhance those, and that's what's made you successful. And that will also is part of confidence. That doesn't mean we're confident all the time. And,
Right.
we all have our ups and downs, and that's part of being vulnerable. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm scared to death, or I am nervous. And, every time I say, even like today, I say, yeah, okay, I've done this for a while. And I want to make sure you and I are having a good conversation. So I'm pointing to my stomach. Yeah, it was a little tight. Because it's like, what, I want to have a conversation with Sharon today, who I've known, so to speak, from afar. And I want to make sure we're doing a good job. So that's good. And it's okay to admit that. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's, for me, people say, okay, Dean seems like a normal guy in his own weird way. So
Yeah. So for my final question, what is one um, piece of advice that you would give sales professionals who could be a little bit skeptical about including AI tools in their sales practice?
can't be skeptical. You could be a little concerned, saying, I don't know it. Sometimes skepticism comes from ignorance, and we all have that. And we're all a little scared of new technology. And it goes back to when I first started using computers, to when the first software products came in, to you name it. And this is another new tool that's going so fast that it can make you nervous and scared. So you need to have some good training. You need to have a good manager. If you're not getting that, find the way to do it. There's something on LinkedIn a couple times a week or somewhere where somebody's doing a webinar talking about AI. There's something next week that I'm going to take too. And it's the basics of AI again for salespeople. Goes to the phrase, you're always learning. Our learning never ends. Whether you're 25, 45, or 65, our learning never ends. And when you're in sales, that's especially true. Any profession, we're
Mhm.
never done. It's always going to be something. So you can be a little nervous, and you're all right to say, you know what, I don't know. It's okay. I say that all the time. It's okay to say and ask for help. I don't know. And you find the answers, and there is a course out there. There's something else to read. And if you still don't know, ask again. Say, I need some help with this. Um, Fear should not be an obstacle in this case in sales, and overcome that fear by learning and asking questions that can help you overcome it, and embrace new technology, because it's going to be changing again in another 18 months.
So true. So, how can people find you on the internet?
Well, I do most of my work, in fact, all of my work on LinkedIn. So connecting with me on LinkedIn, Karrel, right there in the chat box there, Dean Karrel. Connect with me. I post a couple of times a week. I'm not over posting. I don't do it every day with things, but I have little short videos that I do, and I have courses on the LinkedIn Learning, along with yours, Sharon, and mine are in sales. And I recommend your course, everybody, Communicating with Empathy.
Thank
And
you.
then people can watch my Basics of Sales. I teach the basics of sales, no advanced methodologies. It's show up on time and be good to people and listen.
Love that. Yeah, and then like I just think that's really good life advice. Show up on time, be good to people, and listen. This is just life. These are life skills
Life,
that are so
and you don't
important.
need an MBA for that, do you? No.
Well, this has been an awesome conversation. Again, I'm not all that confident in like my sales ability, and so I've learned a lot of really interesting tips. So, Dean, thank you so much, and everybody else, we will be back here next week with another great conversation about empathy in automation.
Thank you, Sharon, so much. What a treat.
Thanks. All right.